I had a dream, an extremely detailed dream, about a miniature puppet theatre that I just had to make. Hi guys, welcome back, and if you're new here, I'm Nessie. While I wait for some craft supplies I need to be delivered, I'm going to have fun making my dream come true. This is a paper mock-up of what I envisioned, and ignore my messy workbench. Using cardboard recycled from an old moving box to make the main puppet theatre structure, I'm measuring up and cutting out the window opening. Think like an older style Punch and Judy puppet theatre. I realised the window opening wasn't going to be tall enough, so I added an extra 1/4 inch. Be careful cutting it out, guys. Keep those fingers safe and take your time. To make the bottom windowsill, I'm using a scrap of mat board, or you could use multiple layers of cardstock glued together. Cut it to the right width for the window and then shape it however you like. I went for a simple curve. Remember to smooth off any proud or untidy edges. Right, I know that'll fit now. Now I'm going to score through only the top layer of the cardboard of the puppet theatre, so the sides of the puppet theatre will fold around. Next step is, since my spackle is all dried up, I'll have to cover the edges with strips of masking tape. Because I can't focus on one task at a time, of course I'm diverting my attention to starting the puppets. I have a couple of thick coffee stirrers, popsicle sticks would also work here, and I'm cutting them the same width as the front of the theatre. We need 2 pieces the same, and we'll call these the bracing. Work out how far apart you need to position your puppets and mark both pieces of bracing the same. Next, get some wooden dowels and measure both how long you need them and where you need to drill 2 holes in each. 1 hole to join it to the bracing and 1 hole for the control handle doodad you're going to make later. Cut the dowels to length and sand the designated bottom end smooth. The last thing we need is puppet splinters. Drill 2 holes in each dowel. Stack the coffee stirrers one on top of the other and drill through both at the same time to get the holes in hopefully the exact same places. On the long end of the dowels, sand the end to a vague point. You don't need a sharp point like a pencil, but it will need to fit inside the bead you're going to use for the heads. Then unfold a paper clip into a reasonable facsimile of a straight line. Thread the wire through one of the bracing holes and then through the top hole in the dowel, followed by the other bracing piece. You'll also need a toothpick for the hole in the other end of the dowel. So fold one end of the wire into a right angle to hold it in place and do the same at the other side of the bracing. If you cut the wire off too short, it won't hold together properly, but paper clips are cheap, so it won't hurt if you have to cut more than one. You'll know you have it right when the dowels can move freely without falling out of the brace. Don't forget, a full list of all the materials used in this video is in the description below. And while you're at it, check out the link to my Nessie Monster merch, where you can buy the cute designs I've created on stickers, t-shirts, mugs, phone cases and more. Glue the toothpicks in with wood glue. These are going to be the control levers that you'll move the puppets with. And back to the theatre, I'm using the leftover wood glue to glue the windowsill into place. The windowsill needed a little bracket under it for stability, which I made from the scrap of mat board and glued it in place. I used a couple of wooden beads for the heads and painted a base skin colour on them. While those are drying, cut 4 tiny hands out of cardstock and paint them the skin colour too. Now paint their wee faces. I found nail art brushes brilliant for this. Here's a close-up look at the faces and the puppet mechanism. The puppets need hair, so I have a scrap of sheepskin and I'm attempting to unsuccessfully colour it with watery acrylic paint, but at least it's not so white anymore. I made the puppet's clothes out of felt scraps. The back piece needs to be wider in the body than the front. Cover the back piece with fabric glue. Tacky glue would probably work too. Stick a tiny hand at the end of each sleeve. Now wrap the back piece around the back of the dowel and clamp it down with a clothes peg until dry, and make sure to leave the arms loose, poking towards the front for now. Paint the windowsill whatever colour you want. I went with dark brown. I realised I'd need some kind of background to go behind the puppets, so I cut a piece of cardboard to fit in the back and glued it to a scrap of old wallpaper. Now paint a barbecue skewer black. This is going to fill the front corner gaps later on. If you've watched my videos before, you know I can't paint a straight line to save myself, so I'm cutting strips of coloured cardstock to decorate the theatre. Attach the strips in an alternating pattern using double-sided tape. After you've trimmed off the excess strips, start thinking about some kind of decorative panel for the top of the window. I cut a design out of cardstock. Sand the edges smooth. I dug out my tube of relief outliner and drew a design with it. I didn't do a great job of it, so we'll just call it character or rustic. True to form, I'm distracted again and glued on the front of the puppet clothes. I think I used tacky glue this time, not sure why, but hey, it works. Back to the skewers and the decorative panel. When the relief outliner is dry, paint it all black, and then when the paint is dry, paint them all gold. The edges of the theatre needed tidying up, so I glued very thin strips of cardstock on it, and I used super glue because I'm impatient, but tacky glue would be fine. Okay, back to the badly dyed sheepskin. Trim off a tuft and glue it inside the top hole of the bead, and then add glue around the back of the bead to hold the hair down. Once the glue's had time to stick, you can trim the hair into some kind of style. However, I will not be taking up a career in hairdressing, much to everyone's relief. Try to have fun with it. Glue the head beads onto the puppets with wood glue and make sure it's facing the right way so nobody calls an exorcist. About now I noticed somebody with grubby fingers left smudges all over the cardstock, so I'm going to fix it in two ways. Firstly, I used a marker to colour in paper, and I'll cut it into tiny triangles to make bunting to decorate the theatre. I glued the tiny triangles to some crochet cotton I picked up at the thrift store. Here's the completed puppets. And here's the bunting. So for the second part of the fix-it job, I had this PVA and coffee mix left over from another project, and I decided to paint it on the theatre. It'll help age and distress the theatre ever so slightly when it dries. And while it's drying, I'm experimenting with making some homemade rub and buff. Apparently you're supposed to use shoe polish, but I didn't have any, so I used this Beeswax furniture polish instead. Add some mica powder and mix together. Be careful with the mica powder, I managed to get it everywhere and my hands looked like I belonged in an old James Bond movie. You know the one. The gold on my Goldie bits wasn't goldy enough, so I rubbed my homemade gold rub and buff on it until I was satisfied with its goldiness. I suddenly remembered that back panel for the theatre and covered the outside with cardstock stripes too. Now to add the Goldie bits to the theatre. The decorative top panel showed some gaps behind it, so I added a thin strip of cardstock to cover it up. Quick dab of Tacky glue and the decorative panel goes on like a dream. Then I glued the skewer pieces in the corners. A quick play of the puppets and I realised they needed a small piece of wood glued in between each end of the bracings. This will help stabilise it, make it stronger and give me more glue surface to attach it to the theatre with. Fortunately, I had scraps of balsa wood lying around on my messy workbench. Yet again, clothes pegs make handy clamps. Okay, so now glue in the back panel after a quick dry fit. I promise I haven't forgotten about the bunting, just hold on a bit longer. I'm getting there. Another quick play with the puppets before it's time to glue them into position. I reinforced the joins to the theatre with a generous smear of wood glue. See, I told you I didn't forget about the bunting. I glued it onto the theatre so it appeared casually draped, but there's nothing casual at all. These flags are stuck for life. So what do you think of my random dream-inspired project? Next time I'll be back to working on Sandy's garden again, creating both tomato and aubergine plants. If you've enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new uploads, and leave a comment because I'd love to hear from you. It really helps my channel to grow. If you want to share your own crafty ideas and projects, join my Facebook page called Nessie Monster Crafts. We have Fun Day Fridays where we can all show off our latest works in progress. If you can afford it, please consider buying me a coffee. Links for both my Facebook group and coffee account are in the description below. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye!